Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Air Force Academy, a football manager story with Zebu Nation. And today, we have kind of a wrap-up episode for the season 2020 / introduction to season 2021. I kind of had thought of stopping after the last episode, but we really didn't finish out the season. There's a lot of stuff we still need to look at. And also, there's still a lot of time before the beta comes out. I think there's still 2 weeks. They're saying that it might come out on the 10th of November. So we got time, honestly, to squeeze in maybe another season. What I'm thinking of doing is doing sort of a summary for each part of the season. There's the spring season, the fall season. And I think I'll just do like wrap-ups of those, sort of like build a storyline for each of those seasons. And, it's a little easier to build a storyline when you have the benefit of hindsight, right? It's a little harder to go game to game and try to build this storyline with all the ups and downs and stops and starts. So I figured, if we actually just play out the season, then do a review, that would help things go quicker and, it might be a little more interesting. In some ways, I'm thinking of using that format for the beta as well. So I want to test it out here and see how it goes. All right, so that's enough of that. Let's get to the review. And of course, where are we going to start? We're going to start where we left off, which is the NCAA tournament, the playoff tournament to decide the national champion. Now, we stopped here because we were not involved in said national championship tournament, and that was kind of a bummer, so we ended our season there. But let's see how it went. Let's see what happened in the tournament. So first round, of course, you got a lot of interesting games going on there. Appalachian State, who'd been a tough competitor all season, they'd been at the top of the top 25, sort of hovering, in the top 5, the top 10 for much of the season. They got a big win in the first round. Harvard, of course, one of the, if not the oldest university in the nation, got a first round victory. Nebraska Omaha, they were in our division, not in our conference, but they were in our non-conference division. There's our fellas, Incarnate Word, from our conference. They got a 2-2. They got a win on penalties in the first round. Let's see, where's our other boys? There they are. Houston Baptist 3-1 win over Boston College. Man, there's a lot. Now that I think about it, there's a lot of religious schools in the country. Because Boston College, they're, I believe, a Jesuit university, or at least they have Jesuit affiliations of some kind, and they're going up against Houston Baptist. Let's see, then finish it out. Lehigh, they made the tournament. I guess they're happy I didn't coach there, because that was the choices I had between Lehigh and the Air Force Academy. Anyway, second round, UCLA gets a big win. UCLA was another team that was at the top of the charts all season long. They got 2 wins, so they got the bye into the second round. Then they beat UC Irvine, go on to the Elite Eight, where they lost to Syracuse. Syracuse was a team, I don't know that we really saw too much of them in the top 25, but they came on at tournament time. Let's see, who else? Let's see, Houston Baptist goes out in the second round to Cal State Fullerton. Another West Coast team. Northern Kentucky makes it all the way to the Elite Eight before losing to UConn. UConn's a team we beat in the non-conference. So to see them make it all the way to the Final Four, I guess, it's something that we can take pride in it a little bit, I guess, but maybe it just shows what could have been, right? If we can beat UConn and they made it all the way to the Final Four, you start playing those kind of mind games. Incarnate Word goes out in the second round, losing on penalties to University of Southern Florida. Southern Florida goes out in the Sweet 16 to Notre Dame on penalties. So that whole bracket is nothing but penalties. And then they lose to Nebraska Omaha, another team that we beat during the non-conference. So what is going on here? We beat a lot of good teams, apparently, because they're all making it to the Final Four. Let's see what else we got. SMU made a good run. Louisville makes a nice run. They get a bye. They make it all the way to the Elite Eight before losing to Oregon State. Oregon State sort of rolls. I think they were the top seed, perhaps. You know, usually when you're at the top of the bracket, you're the top seed. But they had to go through Indiana, another team that was at the top of the top 25 most of the season. Well, maybe not at the top. They were sort of hovering around like the 10 to 20 range for a lot of the season. But they made a pretty decent run, making it all the way to the quarterfinals. Then we can go to the College Cup is what they call it once you get to the Final Four. So, you know, in other sports, like I said, in basketball, it's called the Final Four. In hockey, it's called the Frozen Four. And I guess here we're calling it, yeah. All right, so how do we get there? Can we do the round? No. Can we get to the semifinals? There it is. There it is. Okay. So Syracuse versus UConn on one side of the bracket. Oregon State versus Nebraska Omaha. With Oregon State going through Syracuse, and Syracuse is your national champion for 2020. So there you go. Air Force didn't make it, but a couple of teams we beat made it. And Syracuse ends up with the win. Let's take a look at Syracuse. How did they do this year in the regular season? We take a look at their schedule. Not 2021. We have to go back a season. Let's go. There we go. 2020. You know, they did sort of okay in the spring season. 3 losses. And they were super up and down. They didn't do well in the non-conference. They had several losses in the non-conference. ACC, they did pretty well. Oh, that's interesting. They played ACC and non-conference games mixed up. We didn't have that problem with our schedule, probably because we have only got 10 teams, so it was no problem. But yeah, so they were sort of middling all through the season. They did okay in the Atlantic Coast Conference as well. I don't think they finished first. Then they lost in the quarterfinals in the conference tournament. So how did they finish last year? Is there a way to see that? Let's see. Last season. Can we get there? Yeah, they finished 3rd. So they must have gotten an at-large bid to the tournament. And then they managed to go through and win the national championship. How about that? Cinderella story for Syracuse. Okay, so that was the national championship. Now we do have some national awards to look at. Got some interesting things going on. So first of all, the Mac Herman Trophy was won by Dean Bilyeu of none other than Houston Baptist. You know, he was a excellent player for them. I'm sure he scored a goal against us, and 15 goals on the season. You know, I would have liked to see our boy Willis on this list, but he's going to be on some other lists. Don't you worry. All right, so next up, we go to the goalkeeper of the year, Michael Hunt from Florida Atlantic. We're not going to comment on that. Angel Gonzalez, I think he was the preseason goalkeeper. Look at that. He's moved on to the San Jose Quakes. Gone to MLS. I don't know if he was drafted. Perhaps. What about Michael Hunt? Is he drafted? He's playing in Nashville. Interesting. Let's see, did they get drafted or sign contracts? I mean, I don't know why we're looking at this, but we're looking. Yep, went into the Super Draft. Good for him. All right, next award. Move down the list. Oops, goalkeeper of the year. Defensive player of the year, Alec Duvernay from Wake Forest. Another guy from UCLA coming in second. So far, no Air Force players on here. Midfielder of the year, Tim Martin from Indiana wins the award. First season for the award, I guess. Sure, why not? I don't know why they would start that award now, but anyway, here's where we start seeing some Air Force teams. The academic NCAA All-First Team. So you might not be used to academic All-American teams, but basically it's a combination of performance on the field, performance in the classroom, and like how complicated your major is, basically. Like not a lot of guys who are in, like sports science and stuff like that, like, sort of jock type majors get on this list, although it's not impossible to get on this list that way. But usually it's like, computer science majors or engineers or medical, guys who are able to play sports and still get like a 4.0 grade point average. So we got a lot of what I would assume would be like, maybe aerospace engineers, guys who are learning how to fix airplanes or design engines and stuff like that. Who knows what happens at the Air Force Academy? Honestly, you can get trained in like all kinds of stuff. But anyway, we got 4 guys on the first team and 1 honorable mention. Tucker Album gets the honorable mention. He's currently a free agent. He was not drafted, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see where old E-Bomb shows up. He's wanted by a few teams, Tulsa, Miami FC, and look at that, none other than Lansing. I tell you what, as former coach of Lansing, this guy would do pretty darn good in the USL. I mean, he's not fast, but man, he could score a lot of goals in the USL. So sign him up. Lansing, what are you waiting for? Look at this, Lewis Willis, our freshman. I mean, the wonders never cease with Lewis Willis. Freshman, academic All-American. You don't see that very often. So he's good in the field, good in the classroom. Jay Vines, one of our other seniors, currently not registered. Okay, I don't know what that means. Oh, look at that. He's contracted to Tormenta FC, so he did make his way to the USL. He's a good USL player. I could definitely see that. He's, like I said, he was marginal MLS player, but he'll be a good solid USL player. Frank Rietsema, our other senior, wanted, currently contracted to the Portland Timbers. Look at that. Interesting. How did he get there? Oops, I went to the Portland Timbers. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to go to Rietsema. Let's see, did he get drafted or did he get picked up on a free? So after the championship, he got picked up and then he moved down to Portland too. So, they must have seen something in him to pick him up on a free. He is 22 years old, so he's a little bit old. But you know what? He's got some potential. He's a good, solid defender. So that's a good pickup from Portland. It is still very, very suspect that Album is not picked up by somebody. Maybe it's his physicals that are holding him back, like his lack of pace that's holding him back. But, his finishing's not great. But, man, that free kick taking, heading, leadership, teamwork, he's such a great locker room presence. And he's a big, strong kid. So give him a shot. Come on. What are you waiting for? Anyway, NCAA Academic All-First Team. We looked at the Herman Trophy. Coach of the Year, Zebu Nation. Runner-up to, of course, Art Kramer wins the Coach of the Year. Back-to-back Coach of the Year awards. What is this? You never see that. How the heck did he win back-to-back Coach of the Year? Anyway, I guess winning the national championship as an at-large bid will do it for you. Played 31 games, won 54%. Pretty good. I mean, we've got a 73% win ratio, so I'm just saying, that is Coach of the Year material, I guess. If you struggle during the regular season and then you turn it on in tournament time, that's what American sports is all about. Honestly, winning those tournaments. And then third place, Ziggy Alvarado from UCLA. So we didn't win the Coach of the Year, but coming in second, we'll take that. Freshman of the Year. I mean, this is travesty. This is a travesty. Our guy's not even on the list. Willis. He's an academic All-American. Why is he not Freshman of the Year? Anyway, Shane Lyons from Xavier, the Irishman, 24 appearances, 19 goals. I mean, that's good, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. But he's no Willis, I'll tell you that. Garcia from Maryland and Marco Antonio Rosales from Santa Clara University. 19-year-old freshman. 9 goals, 9 assists. That's pretty good. Anyway, moving on down the list. Offensive Player of the Year. There he is. There's the cadet. Lewis Willis, 25 appearances, 23 goals, 2 assists. There we go. Overton from Dixie State finishes second with 20 goals on the season. And then Thomas Amick with 17 from Howard University. That's the guy we looked at earlier in the year who's scoring a bunch of goals. So these are 3 like small colleges. That's interesting to see them all Offensive Player of the Year. Maybe that's why Willis didn't get looks for some other things, because they look at our conference and say, well, maybe your conference isn't that good. But then you look at the competition he was playing against, right? He played against this Overton character. And I think we've got a fine conference. I don't know. I don't think there should be that small college bias. Anyway, Player of the Year, Lions. Freshman of the Year and Player of the Year. Guard, Rosales, again, they're all up there. All 3 guys who were up for Freshman of the Year are also for Player of the Year. Right? No, Garcia's different. He's 20 years old. Anyway, Team Fair Play Award. This is not something I'm incredibly familiar with, but Detroit Mercy wins the Fair Play Award. I assume that is like least fouls, least yellow cards, least red cards, that kind of stuff. Monmouth comes in second place in Binghamton. Good old Binghamton University, the Wildcats. Mr. Tony's alma mater. Let's see, top goal scorer. There he is. Look at that. Golden Boot for Lewis Willis. 23 goals on the season. Tyler Overton again comes in second place. Thomas Amick again in third place. There we go. We get a Golden Boot. Now the NSCAA, I'm assuming this is the National Soccer Coaches Association. I'm assuming that's what this is, because that's why it's different from the NCAA. They've got their own set of awards. So their academic All-Americans are pretty much the same. Davis is still there. Rietzema is still there. Lewis is there. Vines is honorable mention, but no Elbum. So, little bit different list there. The NSAA All-American. Now, this is interesting. So, this is their All-American team. Not just their All-Academic team, but actually, their All-American on-the-field team. And this is very similar. Davis, Rietzema, Vines, Lewis, and Elbum makes the honorable mention. So, pretty good. Anybody else we recognize on here? There's Chris Sheldon from Seattle. There's Gustavo from Dixie State. There's a guy from Army, Julio Alvarado. So very good All-American team. Freshman All-American. They did not vote for Freshman All-American this year. Senior College Staff of the Year Award. Zebu Nation comes in second, but they've got a different winner. They've got Adam Salazar from Oregon State. Like I said, I thought they were the top seed perhaps in the tournament. So Oregon State, or no, not Oregon State. Oh, yeah, it is Oregon State. Okay, I almost called them Oklahoma State. They're very similar in terms of their logo. But anyway, it is Oregon State. So forget that. Anyway, Team Ethics and Sportsmanship Award. Again, it's the same 3, so I'm assuming it's the same sort of qualifications. Least penalties, all that sort of stuff. Soccer America Coach of the Year. Art Kramer from Syracuse. Zebu Nation second. Ziggy Alvarado. So same. Soccer America Player of the Year. Biliu again, Amick, and there's a new guy, Ojeda, Archie Ojeda from Denver University. So we're getting closer. Denver, Colorado, it's close. Anyway, so here's the one Journalist Award, Media Award, TopDrawerSoccer.com Player of the Year goes to Jack Oliver of Syracuse. 21-year-old striker, 17 goals, 7 Player of the Match awards. Josh Akers from Sacred Heart takes second, and Mario Molina from Cleveland State comes in third with 15 goals. Interesting. Interesting to see the the media was completely different from the coaches. So there's the awards. We had a couple of guys on a couple of lists. We came in second place as top coach in the nation, really. I guess we could also look. There's like conference awards and stuff like that. But the conference awards went pretty much the same way as the national awards. We had a bunch of guys on a bunch of lists, and it was the same guys. It was all the guys you would expect. So, that was pretty good. I was happy with that season. A lot of individual achievements. We just sort of faltered at the end of the season. That was our big problem. Obviously we got out great at the beginning of the season. But that happens sometimes. Your team loses momentum and you just kind of falter at the end of the season. Have to see if we can figure out a way to avoid that in future seasons. And speaking of